Hey everybody, I'm talking into the Beezy can. Here you go. Okay, today I watched a TikTok, and the caption was 90. The show Cops in the 90s was just elite, and I would have to agree. I remember watching the show Cops in the 90s and thinking that this was what real law enforcement and real situations were like, and I think probably the truth, as I've learned with experience, is always halfway there. I'm sure that there was a lot of sensationalization, and in the case of Cops, I think a lot of things were cut out because they're too horrible to see. But can we bring back Cops, and not in the body cam racial marginalization kind of way? Can we just bring back Cops specifically for arresting white people? Like, it's just crazy. And I don't know if America can do this anymore because, like, that place is completely bonkers, but I'm thinking, can we do a Canadian Cops? Can we do a European Cops, like UK Cops or France Cops, as long as there's English dubbing? I'm just thinking that that would bring a lot of entertainment value to our TV programming. You know, I don't want to watch another Bake Off or another Real Housewives. I want to watch Cops. I want to see a drunk man trying to convince a police officer that the house he's breaking into is actually his. I want to see a show where only 15% of people that aren't police officers are wearing shirts. I want to see a show where a foot chase doesn't end in a tackle. It ends in the suspect tripping on their own shoelaces or being so hammered they trip over their own feet. I really want to see a show where we look, like, we could do different kinds of, like, there's different kinds of New York, Law and Order. There's different kinds of that. Can't we do, like, Canadian Cops, the suburbs, Canadian Cops, urban life, Canadian Cops, the farm sector, you know, like, really different flavors of cops? And then what would be really cool is if we brought, like, rural cops into the urban area and said, get ready, buckle up, and then put the urban cops in the rural areas and said, yeah, your call is 48 kilometers away. Good luck. There are 3 cruisers in this 500 square kilometer area. I don't know. Like, I think it would just be a very interesting show where we could highlight some of the best people we have in society. You know, I don't want to see the really dark stuff where, you know, there's children involved or spouses getting hurt or extreme violence. I really just want to see the, like, guy who broke into a house thinking it was his and then passed out on the couch and the family's there going, what do we do with him? I really want to hear that struggled conversation that the suspect tries to have with the officer to explain the situation of why he's on a stranger's couch with broken glass around him and has urinated himself and has pills in his pocket and possibly a little baggie and reeks like a distillery. And how that all is part of his regular day. Which, oddly enough, it probably is. We just need to bring back Cops. I think, first of all, there'd be great entertainment value. Second of all, for very, very, very bored people like me, and some others I may know, there may be some sort of tickling, to being tickled pink to watch this kind of programming. You know, Cops was just such a great expose into why there's a traffic jam when there's a car pulled over on the shoulder of the road, right? Everybody has to see what's going on. We're all curious to the chaos, right? We all need to know and be able to point and say, ha, at least I'm not them. Now, granted, being the person sucks. Doesn't feel great. But being in the car, seeing the person, feels awesome. It's that one moment in your day where you're able to say, you know what? It's not so bad. It's not so bad, Squirrel Man. It's not going so badly. You know, I remember seeing a couple things when I was commuting to work by bus and paying even less attention to the road than when I drive. I remember seeing a Mitsubishi catch fire, literally be engulfed in flames on the side of the road, and the owner just kind of standing there with their arms folded about 15 feet behind the car, which for a car that was engulfed in flames, I would have probably stood further back, but because they're on a bridge, and I'm not so sure when a gas tank explodes, first of all, shrapnel, flying parts, second of all, force of blast, I wouldn't want to get blown over the side, because the bridge I'm talking about, the Champlain Bridge, that's a good 200-foot drop into some very cold water, which would feel like concrete at that point if it wasn't iced over. I can't remember when that happened, if it was spring or summer. I think it wasn't winter. Anyway, I digress. We all were looking. We were all looking at this guy whose car had just caught on fire. And the fire really was in all of us, and we understood, we sympathized, but we were so grateful it wasn't us. And I think we could have that level of relief and communal understanding that, hey, the day isn't so bad, but we could do that on a program basis and feel better about ourselves for not being as crappy as some people are if it was done through a medium like Canadian cops or European cops. And I'd really like to see that cross-section of different jurisdictions and how they handle it. I'm sure European cops would be kind of dull because they're so highly trained that situations don't go really off the rails that much. And I think the Canadian cops, it generally goes better, although news reports will tell you otherwise. I still think that American cops would be too gong show now. It's just too crazy. I think in the 90s there was generally an unwritten rule that you don't try to shoot police officers, and I think that's kind of out the window now, especially for white people. White people have really just gone off the deep end, Everything's a conspiracy, and they're all part of paramilitary groups now. They've all got, stockpiles of weapons that they shouldn't. Yeah, American cops, no bueno, because it's just going to end. Every season would have to end in some sort of Waco-like standoff, which nobody's going to be happy about. So, anyways, that's my hot take for today. Hope to see you next time.